You know, animals are a lot like people. They all have different personalities, they're very intelligent, and they even have feelings. And they can be trained to do some amazing things. But they need to be taught everything from simple behaviors to more complicated tricks. They don't learn by imitation or by example the way that people do. That's why it's so important that the dog's teacher, that's you, learn how to train quickly, effectively, and permanently. Now, this program will not train your dog to behave. What it will do is teach you to train your dog to behave. Helping me today is Bear. Now, you might recognize Bear. He plays part of Dreyfus from the hit series Empty Nest. Now, Bear and I have been working together for a while, and today what we'd like to do together is show you some of the secrets that we use to training from your dog's point of view. The secret to training is to understand training from your dog's point of view. To show him how to perform a behavior, to think about what he sees, feels, and hears as he's performing it. Now, you'll be amazed at how once you learn how to train this way, you'll actually be able to use his cues as feedback to help him learn faster and better.
Joel Silverman is one of Hollywood's most popular animal trainers. The trademark to Joel's training method is personality. If his training works so well with the performing animals for TV and movies, think how much more enjoyable your trained dog will be. The behaviors you will learn to teach your dog will begin with basic behaviors.
You know, I've been all over the United States training all types of animals, from sea lions and killer whales to dogs and cats. And it's all based on the same principle. I use a very basic step-by-step approach to training all the animals, which includes considering how a behavior looks from the animal's point of view. Now, for you, this means starting out with an understanding of what your dog is capable of and what can be expected of him. In this section, I'm going to show you the behaviors that I feel are essential to a well-behaved family dog. Now, before we begin learning the actual behaviors, there are a few basics to know for teaching all behaviors. First of all, your dog has a different personality than any other dog in the world. Second, your dog is a lot smarter than you may think. All dogs have different personalities. Some dogs are more relaxed, some dogs are more high-strung. And you have to work your dog according to his personality. If your dog is very relaxed, then you've got to be a little bit more up, a little bit more high-strung around your dog. On the other hand, if your dog is real high-strung, real up, you've got to be a little bit more calm, a little bit more relaxed around your dog. And remember, as your dog starts to learn, his personality may change. And you may have to adjust your training as your dog's personality changes. Now, the way you learn to train your dog from this program won't subdue him, ruin his personality, or anything like that. Actually, it will have an opposite effect. My success as a trainer is based on the fact that my methods bring out the personality in animals. Actually, dogs are a lot smarter than people are willing to admit. Dogs are very intelligent. As a matter of fact, your dog can be trained to do just about any behavior. And he's also smart enough to know right from wrong. It's important for you to understand that your dog will test you if he gets a chance to see if he can get away with it. Now, you avoid giving your dog a chance to test you simply by making training fun for him. And Bear, guess what? I got a surprise for you. We're bringing out another dog for this next part of the show, all right? So what I want you to go hang out over there, and I'll bring you back in the next 10 or 15 minutes, okay? Bear, I want you to go over there and just, hang out for a bit, okay? Bear. This is embarrassing. I've been telling everybody how well trained you are. Tell you what, Bear, there's a real nice looking poodle over there. This is Darla. She's a 7-month-old golden retriever, not quite as well trained as Bear. She'll be helping us demonstrate the right ways and wrong ways to perform basic behavior. When you're training even a basic behavior like sit or lie down for your dog's safety and control, you should always have your dog on a leash. And you should always use this type of collar. This is called a choke chain. Now, this doesn't actually choke your dog, even when you pull on it to stop or control him, if you put it on properly. Now, when the dog's on the left side, the leash goes on this way. If you notice, the part that comes out of this loop right here comes from behind, and when you lift the dog, to correct the dog, you get pressure from straight in the middle. Just like that. Now, the wrong way to put the choke chain on would be this way. If you notice here, when I'm pulling on the leash, what I'm doing is I'm actually lifting the dog up as I'm pulling on the choke chain. This is the wrong way. Stay. And this is the right way. Now, when you're working your dog from the right-hand side, the choke chain goes on the opposite way. It goes on like this. Now you're working your dog from here. When you correct the dog, All the pressure is coming from right behind here. Okay, now the leash clips here on the collar, on the free ring. Just make sure your leash is strong enough to hold your dog and comfortable for both of you. Always train your dog with a leash on. A training session consists of you bringing your dog out to a special area or special place in the yard. You'll practice or repeat each behavior from between 2 to 5 times. Then at the end of the session, you'll take about a minute or two and spend some time playing with your dog, with a ball, with a toy, anything your dog likes. What we're trying to do is we're trying to associate the fun that your dog's having with the toy and the training session itself. Then you'll plan on putting in between 5 to 6 sessions a day. Although you could train your dog as few as 2 sessions a day and still make progress. But remember, the more sessions you put in a day, the quicker your dog will progress. And they don't have to be long sessions either. My sessions last from between 2 to 5 minutes and no longer than 10 minutes. Actually, if you take the total time you spend working with your dog and it comes to a total of 20 minutes to a half hour, you're going to make real good progress. Very good. In teaching your dog to heel, you first have to decide what type of personality your dog has. Remember, no 2 dogs are alike, and the way you act strictly depends upon the personality of your dog. At one end of the scale, you have the high-strung dogs, and the other end of the scale, you have the relaxed dogs, which this one is right now. She's falling asleep. You decide which type of personality your dog has. Now, as we go through the lesson and you're teaching your dog to heel, I'll show you the philosophy behind the training. Teaching your dog to heel involves 3 steps, as does teaching any basic behavior. Now, the first step is you giving the dog the cue or asking the dog to perform the behavior. The second step is the dog will either respond correctly or incorrectly. And the third step is you'll either reinforce the dog or correct the dog for his performance. You should always give both a visual and verbal cue for a behavior, a special hand signal or a particular word, and always be careful to give the same cue each time. Changing words or signals can make it very confusing for your dog. When you're working with your dog on heeling, this is a proper position to start with. The dog is right next to my leg in this position. Now, the biggest mistake that people make, and that you've probably made too, is you give the dog too much leash. When you start walking with the heel, on the heel, you give the dog this much leash, and before you know it, you've got the dog going here and going all over the place, and look at behind my back and everything. What you should do is give the dog about 2 feet of leash, all right? We're going to start again. We're going to tell the dog, have the dog right here. I've got 2 feet now. Now the dog can't go running in front of me. Now I've got control over the dog. And what I'm going to do is I know that she doesn't know the behavior, so what I'm going to be doing is correcting her as we're going along a little bit here, okay? Every time she goes in front of me, just like that, we just correct her. And what I'm looking for her to do is to pay attention to my leg. Pay attention to me. Let's see what happens here. That was pretty good. I didn't correct her very much there. Let's move just a little bit. Stop again. Not too bad there, darling. You're doing pretty good. And always give a tactile reward, a rub down or a pet or something. Don't use food as a reinforcement for your dog. And the reason we don't use food is because if you use food, the dog will be staring at you the entire time. When you take your dog for a walk, you want your dog to be looking around the environment, but at the same time be paying attention to your leg, the leg that it's next to. Now, as you start progressing on this behavior, you don't have to stop and give a tactile reinforcement every single time the dog does something correctly. You can wait 30 seconds, maybe wait a couple minutes. The important thing, as long as you reinforce the dog when she's watching your leg. That's all you're really looking for. And take 3 steps. Take 10 steps. It really doesn't matter. Just stay real and predictable. That's a good girl, Darla. Very good. Yes. We see that what you really want her to do is watch your leg and follow it. You want her to use it for start and stop cues. Also, hearing the chain is real important to her because just before the chain pulls tight, she hears a ring. Now, when the animal hears a ring, she also knows she's about to be corrected. So, she listens for the chain, and she also learns that when she cuts in front of you, she's going to get corrected. Now, repeat these steps between 2 to 5 times. Then spend some time playing with your dog, with a ball, with a toy, anything that your dog likes. Correction and reinforcement are the most important elements in training your dog. Your dog will very quickly learn to associate you showing him a behavior, him performing the behavior correctly, and him receiving a reinforcement for his performance. Now, in the early stages of training, I use a food reward combined with a tactile reward of a scratch, a pet on the head, or a rub down. When I'm working my dogs for food, I use low-fat foods such as chicken, cheese, and beef, rather than the high-fat foods that come in a package like hot dogs. I find that my dogs respond better to these kinds of foods, not to mention they're a lot better for them. As training develops, start increasing the tactile reinforcement and fading out the food reinforcement. You can use food to teach a behavior, but if you continue using a food reinforcement, the animal will be only working to get the snack instead of working for you, the trainer. You're much better to have him behave simply for your approval, which is how he interprets the tactile reinforcement. The playing time at the end of a training session is very important as a reinforcement. Your dog loves to play. He'll learn very quickly that the faster he learns and performs the behaviors during training periods, the sooner you'll play with him. Think about it from your dog's point of view. He'll know that if he performs the behavior right the first time, he'll get to play that much sooner. Correction and reinforcement are the most important elements in training your dog. It's important for your dog to understand he not only gets reinforced for correct behavior, but also gets corrected for incorrect behavior. You see, there are two reasons why your dog will perform a behavior incorrectly. One is that he's confused, and two is that he's testing you. He actually knows how to do the behavior right, but he's doing it wrong on purpose. Let's talk about the other problem. Why would your dog test you? Why would your dog do something wrong on purpose? The biggest reason that dogs test people is simply because they're bored. Here's a situation for you. Let's say you're working with your dog, you've been training a behavior, the dog's been doing it consistently for about 30 days, and all of a sudden, you go to work the behavior and the dog's not interested in you, just kind of looking around. Yeah, there are no distractions. The dog just is not interested in you. Do you think the dog is testing you, or you think the dog is confused? There's a very good possibility your dog is testing you. Why? Because your dog has been doing that behavior consistently for the past 30 days. Now, how do you correct a dog that's testing you? You make him repeat the behavior again without regressing. If you do regress, what you're going to teach your dog is if he does the behavior wrong the first time, you're going to make it easier for him the second time, and that can be a major problem. So remember, in training, always vary your program. Take 10 slow steps, stop, then take 3 faster steps and pause. Maybe take 1 step, maybe take 2 steps. Then stop a minute and give your dog a reinforcement. Then repeat the lesson anywhere from 2 to 5 times. As the dog progresses, start making turns. Maybe turn to the left, take 5 steps, maybe turn to the right. Now, by varying everything except the basic behavior, you're reinforcing that watching your leg and listening for the chain are the only things she has to do to be rewarded. Then, when you've repeated these steps a few times, play with your dog as an end of the session reinforcement. Your dog should become very consistent in a few days. Actually, the amount of time it takes really depends upon your dog's personality and his intelligence. If it takes a few days, great. If it takes 5 days, that's fine too. When your dog does become consistent, then you can move on and start teaching another behavior. The next behavior I'd like to show you is a sit and stay behavior. Now, this is a great behavior because it gives you total control over your dog. Your dog can still play and be part of your family, he just has to sit and stay in one place. And this is how it works. We say stay. We give the dog the cue. We say sit. We say stay. Walk over here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to walk back to the dog and reward the dog. The biggest mistake that people make is calling the dog to them. They walk over here and they say stay, and they're real happy with their dog staying, and they don't know why their dog will only stay for 2 seconds because they say come here, and they reward the dog like this. And what happens? The dog gets rewarded here instead of getting rewarded over there. So your dog will stay there for a few seconds, but it has no reason to stay there very long because it's always going to get rewarded here. So the way that I train is I bring the dog right back to the spot. Okay, we say sit, we say stay. Hold your hand up like this, stay. We walk in and we reward the dog. And that's what the finished behavior looks like. Now, just like we talked about in the previous session on how to heel, you have to think about this behavior from the dog's point of view. You have to bring the relaxed dog's personality up, and you have to bring the nervous dog's personality down. Then, there's a clear hand cue to sit, the cue to stay, and you can step back. Now, he'll naturally want to come to you, so you need to be firm about the stay. To do that, you walk to him to reinforce him, rather than having him come to you, as we mentioned before. That way, he's reinforced in the spot where he's sitting and staying. So you teach this behavior by kneeling next to your dog, all right? And the first thing you want to do is if the dog's already in a sitting position, which she's in right now, just kind of walk a little bit forward here and she'll get up, all right? Now what we're going to do is we're going to, with one of our hands, either your right or left hand, it really doesn't matter, you put it on the rear end of your dog. But as you do it, you also give the dog this cue, okay? So what we do is we go like this, put our hand here, touch it, dog's rear end goes down, we say sit at the same time. When the dog sits, we say stay. And we reward the dog. Now, if you noticed, I did say stay, but I'm not moving back at all. All I'm doing is I'm just saying stay and getting the animal conditioned to hearing the word stay every time it does a behavior. Let's do this again here. Darla, come here. Good girl. What do we say? We say sit. That's right. We say stay. And we reward the dog. Very good. Good girl. Let's try it one more time. Girl, stay. Come here. That's a good girl. Sit. Stay. Very good. Great. When your dog's performing the sit behavior consistently, then it's time to start working the stay behavior. And this is how that works. What we do is we give a cue of stay. We give our hand just like that. And we step back just a few feet. Stay. Now if your dog stays just for about 5 seconds, you walk in and you reward the dog. Just like that. Now for example, you said stay, and you were this far away and your dog came to you like this. That was no good. So what you're going to do now is you're going to correct the dog, bring the dog back, have your dog sit. But instead of getting back 5 feet like you were before, only get back 2 feet. Just like this, and you say stay. And you reward the dog. That's a good girl. Now after she's rewarded for being 2 feet away, now, pay attention Darla, stay. Now try 5 feet away, stay. And reward the dog. Very good. And eventually you could start, when your dog's consistently going 5 feet away, then you could start 10 feet away, 15 feet away, and before you know it, you're about 20 feet away, and you're working the behavior. That's a good girl. But just be real patient. That's a good girl. Remember, regress if you think the animal's confused. Don't regress if you think the dog's testing you. Instead of regressing, make the dog repeat the behavior about 3 times before getting a reinforcement. Very good. Same rules of repetition and variation apply to this behavior as did the heel. You want to repeat each behavior from between 2 to 5 times. Then at the end of the session, you want to spend some time playing with your dog, and you want to vary the time in between training sessions. Within the session, vary the time you have your dog stay. Your energy level and variation are even more important in teaching this behavior than they were for the heel. Because since you're not moving around, your dog can get bored a lot faster. If he gets bored, he'll play games and test you, and you want to avoid that at all costs. And remember, limit the length of these sessions from 2 to 5 minutes, 10 minutes maximum. That will limit the chance of boredom. Now to get her to take the cue for the sit, what we do is we give her the cue, we say sit, we touch her. She stays, and we reward her. Get her back up, stay. Now watch what happens here. Let's see if we can get the hand, let's see if she sits before my hand even touches her rear end. You ready? Sit. Stay. This time my hand was about 1 inch away before she sat. Let's try it one more time. Stay. Let's see if we can get her to sit before my hand even touches it. Ready? Sit. Stay. Just like that. And we already talked about stepping back when you stay. Just like this. Very good, Darla. Good girl. Excellent. The method we're learning here has an extra advantage. By using repetition for correction, and by using food and tactile for rewards, and by using variety to make training fun for your dog, you keep your dog from developing behavior problems. When you're working with your dog and telling your dog to sit and stay, and you step back and your dog takes a step or two towards you and sits back down, it did the behavior incorrectly, and it's doing what's called cheating. And the dog should not be reinforced, but be corrected and brought back to the original spot and told to sit and stay again. It's very important that you reinforce the dog in the exact same spot that you asked him to sit originally. By the time your dog has this behavior down and is performing the behavior consistently the first time you give him the cue, you should really notice some differences in the control you have over your dog. And I think you're probably very much aware now of the 3 basic steps in successful training. Asking the dog for the behavior or cueing him, watching his response, either right or wrong, and you respond either by correcting or reinforcing. The next behavior, teaching your dog to come, is the easiest. The reason this is so easy is because you are so naturally reinforcing to your dog. But remember, don't start teaching your dog to come to you until your dog is very consistent on staying. On teaching the come behavior, you begin by having your dog sit and stay. Then you step back about 10 feet, and the verbal cue is calling your dog's name, The visual cue is putting your hand on your chest. When the dog comes to you, reward the dog with a tactile reward and a food reward. This is where it's real important to be unpredictable, because you don't want your dog to know whether you're going to tell the dog to come or stay. This is what we're going to do. We say stay. We reward the dog. That's a good girl. All right. And we say, Darla, that's a good girl. Very good. Bring her back. Staying unpredictable will keep your dog from testing you. That's a good girl. Stay. That's a good girl. Very good. Stay. Very good. Very good. I'd like to spend a few minutes and give you a few tips on housebreaking your dog. The best way to prevent your dog from having an accident in the house is not to give him an opportunity to have an accident in the house in the first place. I recommend you getting your dog sometime during the spring or summer instead of during the fall or winter. That way you can keep your dog outside, because housebreaking is a behavior that begins outdoors. Once your dog is conditioned to going outside and realizes he has to go, the first place he'll walk to is the door. Or if he can't remember how he came in the house, he'll start sniffing to find a place to go, at which point you show him the door. What you do have to teach him is that you will let him out. Once he understands that, he's housebroken. In theory, that sounds easy enough. In practice, it will take your full attention. Start by letting your dog in for very short periods of time, and keep your eye on him constantly. Start with 5 minutes, increase to 10 minutes, 20 minutes, then a half hour. If he does start smelling around, lead him quickly to the door and let him out. But you must watch him constantly. If he does go once in the house, he'll think it's just fine and he'll do it again. Now, if you don't watch your dog constantly, you can buy him a sky kennel like this one. The dogs I work with sleep in their kennels, get transported in their kennels, and really like them. Plus, it gives them a good sense of security. Now, you put your dog in this kennel, especially at night, if you don't want your dog sleeping outside. Open the door, goes inside. Then in the mornings, as soon as you get up, open the door, put the dog on the leash, walk the dog outside, and make sure that you see the dog go. A mistake that people make is they let the dog go outside, go and make a cup of coffee or whatever for a few minutes, bring the dog back in, and the dog hasn't gone outside. What's going to happen when you bring the dog in the house? It's going to have an accident. So the important thing is to make sure that you see the dog go in the morning. By now you should be well aware of what type of personality your dog has, whether it's very calm or whether it's very relaxed. And remember, as training progresses, your dog's personality may change, and you should adjust your training accordingly. Training your dog to lie down is a lot like training the sit behavior. The only difference is, instead of just the rear end going down, the rear end and the front part of your dog is going down. Now this is what it looks like when the behavior is trained. Darla, Darla, lie down. Stay. Very good. That's a good girl. All right. Now to train this behavior, the first thing you want to do is get your dog in the sit position. You always start with your dog sitting. Okay, so we say sit. That's a good girl. Very good. Now the way that I do it is I use a little bite of food here. And what I'll do is I'll hold some food near the ground, just like that. And all I'm actually doing is getting my dog conditioned to eating the food right near the ground, just like that. Stay. Very good. When your dog's pretty consistent on eating the food near the ground, just like that, then what you start doing is start moving the food away from the dog's body, so the dog actually has to lie down to stretch to get the food, just like that. And when it's there, just say stay, just like you did with the sit behavior, and reward the dog. Very good. Now bring her back up to the sitting position just by holding some food up here. Come here. Stay. Very good. And repeat the behavior again. Once again, hold the food near the ground. There you go. Hold it near the ground and make her stretch a little bit for it. Very good. That's a good girl, Darla. When your dog's consistent doing that, the next step, good girl, come here, Dar, is start doing it without the food. If your dog's watching your hand, just move your hand here. You say lie down, you say stay, and you reward the dog. Now your dog is actually lying down without using the food as a bait. Come here, Darla. Sit, stay. Once again, just like this, lie down, stay. Very good. That's a good girl. If you notice my hand here, my hand was in this position. The next step you start doing is you want to turn your hand over and get your hand in this position. So let's bring you up again, Darla. That's a good girl. Very good. Stay. Now instead of the hand being like this, we're going to have the hand like that. See what happens. You say lie down. Lie down. Stay. Took you a second there, huh? And we're going to reward her with food. That's a good girl. Now dogs are different. Some dogs may take a minute to learn this. Some dogs might take a couple days. Just be real patient and remember all dogs have different personalities and they're going to take different times to learn this. Straighten up. Sit. We'll try this one more time. Now if you notice my hand was fairly close, we're going to move a little bit further away. And we'll say lie down. Stay. And reward the dog. That's a good girl. Very good. The time it takes to train this behavior strictly depends upon the personality of your dog. The more food motivated your dog is, the quicker this behavior will come. But don't be discouraged if your dog is not as food motivated. Here, Darla. That's a good girl. If your dog does not have much of a food drive, you could use the leash to get the dog to lie down. You just say lie down, pull on the leash, the dog lies down. Remember to vary everything as much as possible. Come here, Darla. Sit. Review previous behaviors. That's a good girl. Just to make sure that you're not confusing cues from behaviors they may have learned before. That's a good girl. Stay. You'll know when your dog is secure when you give the dog the lie down cue, lie down, and the dog does it. And remember to reinforce your dog. That's a good girl, Darla. That's a girl. Now that's a good session. Good girl. Come here, Dar. Well, you've learned quite a few terms so far, haven't you? Let's see, you've learned behavior, reinforcement, correction. Here's a new one for you, desensitization. What desensitization means is teaching your animal to ignore things in the environment, to ignore distractions. We use it constantly in Hollywood. As a matter of fact, we even raise dogs on the set to get them used to ignoring things. By using desensitization, your dog will learn to ignore bicycles, cars, kids running across the street, or any other distractions in your neighborhood. Desensitization is a development of the basic sit and stay behavior. Now from your dog's point of view, he'll know the sit and stay cue. What you'll be doing is making the stay behavior so solid, he'll ignore everything except you. Now you'll need a helper to train this next behavior. My friend Mary Jane over here will help Darla and I. Now you start by giving your dog the sit and stay cue. Just like that. And you step back. This time instead of stepping back 15 feet that your dog may be trained to do before, only step back about 10 feet. And don't reinforce the dog yet. Now have your helper walk between you and your dog. If your dog stays, walk up and reinforce the dog. That's a good girl, Darla. Once she stays consistently, the next step is to back up a few steps at a time while having your helper walk between you and your dog. Then introduce new distractions. Have your helper roll a ball between the two of you. Have a child ride a bicycle between you. Make this behavior extremely solid. Now if at any time your dog follows the assistant, make her repeat the behavior again a few times. Remember, you're strengthening the stay behavior. Stay. 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 Very good, Darla. That's a good girl. All right. Until now, you've pretty much controlled all your dog's distractions. Now you should start walking your dog in public. You want to walk him around your neighborhood, getting him used to all the distractions. Now, don't go out of your way to find distractions, but if he does make a move towards one, just use your leash to correct him, just like that.
The next behaviors are some Joel calls more and better because they go a little beyond the basics. They help make your dog just that much more fun.
Hi, how you doing, huh? You have a good time? All right. Yeah, it looks like you did. The next behaviors we'd like to teach you to teach your dog are the behaviors that we use continually on movies and in TV. The actual behaviors you're going to learn to teach are having your dog rise to sit position from a lying down position, how to wave or shake hands, and how to play dead or lie on its side. We will also start asking the dog to do 2 or 3 more behaviors in a row without a reinforcement, which is called chaining behaviors. I'll talk a little more about that in a minute. Do you remember the 3 steps in teaching a dog a behavior? The first one is giving the dog the cue or asking the dog to do the behavior. The second step is the dog performing the behavior correctly or performing the behavior incorrectly. And the third step is you either reinforce your dog or correct your dog. All right. Bear wants to get right into this next behavior. It's teaching your dog to sit from a lying down position. And this is how you do it. First of all, get your dog in a lying down position. You already know how to lie down. All right? And what you do is, you can do it a couple of ways. The way I like to do it, which is the easiest, is putting a little bite of food over the dog's head. And as you're holding the food, if you notice, you're given the same cue that we used originally to teach your dog to sit. So what we do is we just say sit, and we put the food here, and the dog sits. Just like that. Have your dog lie down again. And don't forget to reinforce your dog for lying down every once in a while too, because that's a behavior. Okay? Once again, take the food, we say sit. Good boy, stay. Very good. Remember to say stay too. Sit. Stay. Lie down. Stay. Once again, sit. Now some dogs can catch on to this in 30 seconds, some dogs might take a day or two. But what you do one time is, when the dog is consistently taking that signal with the food, then remove the food, hold your hand like this and say sit, stay, and reward the dog. That's a good boy. Very good. Lie down. Reward the dog. The next step is when the dog is taking the signal without the food, then start moving your hand back a little bit. We say sit, stay. That's very good. That's a good boy. Lie down, stay. And before you know it, we're further and further away till we're over here and we say sit, stay, stay. Good boy. Very good. Okay. Here's a problem that some people have when they're teaching their dog to sit from a lying down position. They have their dog lying down, and when they say sit, what will happen is the dog will get up on all fours and then sit. And that's not what you don't want. You don't want to reinforce that at all. What you want to do is reinforce the dog just for sitting from a lying down position. Let's show you that one more time. Lie down. Okay. This is the right way. Stay. And I want to show you the wrong way. Lie down. It's nice to have a trained dog that you could show how to do the wrong way. That's the wrong way. Okay? Good boy. Very good. Now one thing to remember is what we're doing here is chaining two behaviors. Lie down is part of the behavior, but you're not always reinforcing the dog for lying down. So meaning the dog is having to lie down, then sit before it's reinforced. You're doing two behaviors before the dog is reinforced. That's why it's called a chain. We call it chaining because we link the behaviors together. But you have to remember how a chain works. If the links get weak, the chain will break. And what I do is I consider each behavior a link in the chain. That's why occasionally we reinforce the dog for lying down. What we're doing is we're keeping that lying down behavior, that link in the chain, real strong. Now remember, when I say reinforce occasionally, that means reinforce 1 out of every 5 or 6 times. This is important to understand because by the end of the program, you're going to be chaining between 5 and 6 behaviors. The next behavior we'd like to show you is how to teach your dog to put its foot in the air or to wave. And this is what the finished behavior looks like. This is a foot. Stay. Good boy. Very good. And this is the wave. Stay. Good boy. Wave. Good. Good boy. Now, this is one behavior that dogs do totally different. They have different personalities, and the way you train it is different too. If your dog really likes to lift its foot up, you're going to train this behavior right away. If you have to physically lift a foot up on your dog, you'll train the behavior fine, but it's going to take you a little bit longer. Bear, on the other hand, loves lifting his feet up. So for me to demonstrate him, what he's always going to do is he's always going to lift his foot up. But the idea is, what you want to do is take the dog's foot like this, now this foot here, and lift it up. You say foot, and hold the foot, and reward the dog. Just like this. And you physically can lift the dog's foot up. Let's go for example, say for example, your dog doesn't like lifting his foot. You keep on lifting the foot, holding it, say foot, and reinforcing your dog. What's going to happen is your dog's going to start lifting his foot to get to your hand. Okay? Stay. What's going to happen is as soon as you go to reach for your dog, eventually they're going to go like this. And when they do, you reward the dog. And then all you have to do is just take your hand, and to put it on cue is just say stay. Go like this. Stay. Good boy. And then eventually get further back. Stay. If you notice I said stay, and that's important to understand, because what the dog starts to understand is I just lift my foot and I say and I stay. Okay? Stay. Very good. Now, if you want your dog to wave, all you do is just put your hand out, but get to the point where he can't reach it. Stay. Stay. Good. 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 Now, all dogs have different personalities, and the way your dog puts his foot in the air and the way your dog waves is going to be different than any other dog. All right? Also, if your dog naturally wants to lift his foot in the air and naturally wants to reach out to you, you're going to train this behavior quicker than somebody that physically has to lift the dog's foot up. But if you physically have to lift the dog's foot up, it still shouldn't take you more than 3 or 4 days. A classic behavior that you see on movies and TV is the dog laying in his side or playing dead. This is what the behavior looks like when it's trained. What you do is, first of all, you get the dog's attention. Okay, bear, stay. On your side, stay. Stay. Very good. Okay, good boy, bear. Okay, good boy. Stay. All right, this is how we train it. What we first do is get the dog in the lying down position and get the dog mellow, which is tough for this guy. Take the food, just like this, like we do, and we just start turning the dog just like that, and he eats the food. Now, some dogs you got to kind of turn their heads up a little bit, and then when they're like that, you say stay, just like we do with all the behaviors. Say stay, reward the dog. It's a good boy. And what I like to say is straighten up. Straighten up means straighten up, get in this position just like that. That's the lie down position. Stay. Very good. And once again, we take some food, take it with our hand like this, and just move it. You say on your side, like that. It's a good boy. Stay. Straighten up. Very good. Now, some dogs are a little different. Some dogs are not as food motivated. You might have to, and some dogs like to do this on their own, and like to switch sides. Stay, and like to ham up everything. What we do, some dogs that don't really do this on their own, what you sometimes need to do is gonna, just like this, give them a little bit of a push, stay, and then say stay. It's a good boy, and reward him. Very good. Straighten up. Now, if you are being kind of physical with your dog and pushing him over, what you start doing is stay, lie down. What we then start doing, instead of actually pushing the dog, you start saying on your side, just like that, stay. Good boy, very good bear. Straighten up. Stay. So there are actually 2 ways to work it. Once again, if your dog is highly food motivated, take your food, just go like this, say on your side, put the food like that, stay. Very good. Straighten up. If your dog is not as food motivated and you have to be a little bit more physical with your dog, all you say is on your side. There. On your side, stay. Stay. Good boy. Okay, straighten up. Very good. Sit. Good boy, bear. Lie down. Now, as you start training the behavior, once the dog is taking the food from your hand, just like this, then you can start, as we said, with other behaviors, start fading out the food and not using food and just saying on your side. Just like this, on your side, stay. Very good. Straighten up. Very good. Once again, stay. On your side, stay. Good boy, very good. Straighten up. Now, can you see where you get this cue from? This is where the food originally was here, and you were turning the dog over. Now you're like on your side. Stay. Stay. Very good. Okay, bear. Good job. Stay. Okay. Here's an easy behavior for you. Teaching your dog to crawl. This is what the behavior looks like when it's trained. Crawl. Stay. Good boy, bear. Very good. Okay. And this is the way you train it. Come on, bear, right back over here. Sit, lie down. That's a boy. What you do is you tell the dog to stay, put him in the lie down position, and all you do is you take a little bit of food and just put it right here in front of him so the dog eats the food. Easy enough, right? Then just move the food a little bit further. Just like that. Always make sure the dog's rear end stays down on the ground. The problem you might have is your dog might want to keep his front end down and lift his rear end up. But just make sure the rear end stays down on the ground. That's the secret with this behavior. Crawl. Crawl. Good boy, very good. Stay. And once again, remember to say stay just like we do after every behavior. Stay. And occasionally reinforce your dog for staying. That's a good boy. And what I like to do is bring the dog back to the original spot that I started working the crawl, which is right here. Lie down. Stay. Stay. Now when you start progressing, you can start moving the food a little bit further and saying crawl. Crawl. Good boy, very good. And what's going to happen is, now you're going to be doing it without the food. Crawl. Stay. Good boy. Now we were like this before, now we're going to turn our hand over. Stay. We'll bring him back to the spot that he started at here. Good boy. Sit. Lie down. Okay, stay. We were originally like this. Now we're going to go like this. Stay. Stay. Crawl. We're just kind of moving our hand up and down the ground. Crawl. Stay. Very good. And here's another secret for you. Don't bring your dog to you. Always stop your dog halfway to you, 3/4 of the way to you, because if your dog knows he has to crawl all the way to you, what's going to happen is he's going to start cheating a little bit and start getting up a little bit higher and start crawling a little bit faster. It looks a lot cuter if the dog crawls a lot slower. One more time. Lie down. This is a finished behavior. Stay. Now, if you notice one thing with bears, he wants to come to me right now. He wants to crawl to me. So what I'm going to do, instead of giving him the crawl cue, I'm going to walk over and reward him for staying there right now. Because this is what he needs. He needs to be reinforced for staying. Stay. Now we're going to have him crawl. Crawl. Stay. That's a good boy. Good boy.
The next behaviors are some Joel calls reaching greatness because they are basic but impressive behaviors that almost any dog can learn.
Here's a behavior I use not only with dogs, but all types of animals. It's training your dog to go to a spot, a chair or a couch. And this is what it looks like when it's trained. Are you ready, Bear? Bear! That's a boy. We say go on. Dog lies down. Dog stays there, just like that. And we walk in and reward the dog. Now, if you noticed, when I was sending the dog to the couch, that's a total of 3 behaviors. Sending the dog to the couch, the dog lying down, and the dog staying. A chain of 3 behaviors. This is how we train the behavior. Sit. That's a boy. Get the dog about 5 or 6 feet away from the couch or the chair. You could use a couch or chair. I'm using a couch for Bear because Bear is very large and he will not fit on a chair. All right? So what we do is we have the dog stay. Stay. We put the food over here, just like that, and we say go on. Go on. The animal jumps up there. All right? And then your dog's already trained to lie down, so now you say lie down, which he already does because he's so well trained. And we say stay, and we walk in and reward the dog. All right? My suggestion to you is to do it to where your dog is consistent from about 5 or 6 feet away, okay, before you start progressing. And when your dog is consistent, stay. Go on. Without the food on the couch, lie down. Then you could start moving a little bit farther away. This is a great behavior because what it is you could still be the dog could still be part of the family. You could still have everybody around and be in the house. But if you want the dog to kind of be away from you, you could send him to his couch or send him to his chair. He could still be part of the group, but not be a nuisance to your guests. Now, as we start progressing, as we mentioned before, you'll have your dog 5 or 6 feet away, and now you're to the point where you're not putting food on the couch. All you're doing is you're sending your dog, you're saying, go on. He's lying down. The dog's staying. We're stepping back. And now you're starting to lengthen the period of time you're having the dog stay there. Maybe for 30 seconds, maybe a minute, maybe 2 minutes. But remember, vary the amount of time. If you get to the point where you're keeping your dog there for 2 minutes, don't keep him there for 2 minutes all the time. Sometimes keep him there for 2 minutes, sometimes 30 seconds, sometimes 10 seconds. The important thing is he should never know how long he has to stay on that couch, because eventually he's going to be getting to the point where he's going to be staying on the couch for 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes, and up to a half hour. All right? That's a good boy, Bear. Now, as you notice, we were about 5, 6 feet away. We're going to move back a little bit further. We're going to get right about here. Sit. Now we say go on. Lie down. That's a good boy. And that's the finished product right there. This shouldn't take you very long either. Good boy, Bear. As you can see, we've been joined by Darla once again. By now your dog should be progressing quite quickly. The thing you should notice is your dog still plays and has fun like it always did. It's just that when you want him to behave, he does it on command. Right now I'd like to show you how to teach your dog to sit up. This behavior is a relatively easy behavior to teach, but the progress you make depends not so much on the dog's intelligence as much as your dog's coordination. Now, if your dog does have any hip problems at all, do not attempt this behavior. This is what the behavior looks like when it's trained. Okay, girl, sit up. Sit up, stay. That's a good girl, Darla. All right, very good. Now I'd like to teach you how to work this behavior. The first thing you do is get your dog in the sit position like this. And then what we do is we say stay. You stand right here. Now what you're going to do is you're going to give the cue just like this, but you're going to hold food in one of your hands. Doesn't really matter which hand. I like to use my right hand because I'm right-handed. Okay, what we do is we say sit up. And all I'm looking for the dog to do is lift its two front legs off the ground and still keep the rear end on the ground. So we'll say sit up. Okay, and we go like this. Okay, just like that. That's a good girl. And all I want to do right now is reward the dog just for keeping its rear end down and lifting its front legs off the ground. Sit up. That's a good girl. Very good. It takes a lot of coordination, as I said before, and there's something that just you got to kind of be patient about. And just that's a good girl. And just reward her for staying up there for a half a second or a second at first. That's very good. You're doing great. Stay. Yeah. You ready? Sit up. That's a good girl. All right, very good. What's going to happen is your dog is going to start sitting up for different lengths of time, maybe a second, maybe 2 seconds. What you want to start doing is choosing the longest length of time that your dog is sitting up for and start reinforcing that. If your dog sits up for a second and you know that your dog's capable for sitting up for 2 seconds, only reinforce the dog for sitting up for 2 seconds. But remember, it does take a little bit of time, and just be real patient with it. Stay. That's a good girl. Sit up. Good girl. I start saying stay when she gets up in the air because through all the behaviors we've taught the dog, through the lie down, the sit, and all these behaviors, we've always said stay. So she's going to start associating the word stay with everything. So as soon as I get her up in this position, and we're still using food, we say sit up, stay. Good girl. Very good, Darla. And always reinforce the dog when the dog's in the sitting up position. Now, as you start progressing on this behavior and your dog is sitting up consistently with food in your hand, then you can start fading out the food. This is the way you do that. Now, the cues are all the same because all you're doing is just having food in that one hand. Darla, sit up. Sit up. Stay. That's a good girl. All right, very good. If you notice, we had no food in our hands. We gave her the cue to sit up. Now you just start stepping back a little bit farther and farther away. That's a good girl. Very good. You ready? Sit up. Sit up. Stay. A lot of coordination. Stay. That's a good girl, Darla. Very good. Okay. As you can see, Darla's just learning this behavior too. What do you think, huh? You doing pretty good? Give me 5. Yes. Well, now we've come to the last behavior and the most difficult to train, and that's called the retrieve. Now, this behavior will take a long time, so you've got to be very patient about it. Some dogs this can take up to 2 weeks to train, but it's worth it because it's a very, very impressive behavior. This is how it works. This is an object that you could use. You could use anything you want, but this is what they sell at the pet shops and things like that for the retrieve. What we do is the first thing is take the object and put the object in the animal's mouth. As we mentioned, all dogs are different. Some dogs like objects in their mouths, some don't. You just have to kind of play it by ear and see how your dog is. So what we do is, what I normally do is say, pick it up, and I hold their mouth like this and say, pick it up, and I say, hold it. Hold it. I'll put my hand here. I'll say, good. Now you notice that Bear didn't drop the object until I said good. All right? And the reason we do that is that we don't want the dog to anticipate you taking the object. If the dog is trained to take the object as soon as you put your hand there, eventually what's going to happen is 6 inches before your hand goes to his mouth, he's going to drop the object. So this is why we do it like this. Hold it. Good. Once you've reached this stage, now you can start progressing. The next step is to start moving the object down. This is the biggest mistake that people make. They think just because their dog is picking the object here, they can throw the object down and the dog will pick it up. And that will not happen at all. What you have to do is move on very, very small increments, small approximations, only 2 or 3 inches at a time. All right. So now the dog is picking it up there. We're going to just move it down a little bit and say, pick it up. Hold it. Good. Very good, Bear. That's a good boy. Stay. If you notice, that was about 6 inches lower than I originally was asking him to take it from, okay? So we'll say, pick it up again. Hold it. Good boy. Very good, Bear. And we'll start moving lower and lower. Now going from here, to this spot here, hold it. Hold it. Good. To this spot here, should take a couple days. Hold it. Good boy. Now, hold it. Pick it up. Hold it. Good boy. Stay. Good boy, Bear. Very good. Now if you notice, I'm just moving about 3 or 4 inches at a time. Pick it up. Hold it. Good. Good boy. Very good. Now we're real close to the ground here. Pick it up. Hold it. Stay. Good boy. Very good. That's a good boy, Bear. Stay. Pick it up. Pick it up. Hold it. Stay. Good boy. All right. Now, here's another mistake people make. Now we're about 2 inches from the ground now, as you can see with the object. Now what people will do is take the object, put the object on the ground, and just let the object go and think the dog's going to pick it up. A lot of times that's not going to happen. This is what I do, and this is a secret that I do. I still keep my hands on the object when I put the object on the ground. And put it a little distance from the dog. Don't put it right next to where you had it before. We'll say pick it up. We'll say pick it up. Hold it. Good boy. Stay. Good. Very good. Stay. All right. Make sure it looks like you're still holding it. Stay. Pick it up. Good boy. Pick it up. Stay. Hold it. Good. Very good. That's a good boy, Bear. Now you can start moving your hands a little bit away from the object. Stay. Stay. I want you to watch. No, sit. Stay. Stay. Pick it up. Bear. Pick it up. Good boy. Stay. Hold it. Good boy. Very good. All right, did you notice that at all? Do you notice that my hands were a little bit, about 2 inches away from the object there? Now we're going to have our hands about 6 inches away. Stay. Pick it up. Stay. Bear, sit. Stay. Sit. Stay. Pick it up. Bear, pick it up. Hold it. Stay. Now once you're to this point, good boy. Very good. Once you're about 6 inches away, now you can start not having your hands down there at all and just tell the dog to pick it up. Sit. And this is what that looks like. Stay. Still, the object is only about 18 inches to 24 inches away from your dog. Pick it up. Hold it. Good. And before you know it, you put the object about 4 feet away from the dog on the ground. You say pick it up. Hold. You say hold it. Good boy, Bear. Very good. And that's your retrieve. Very good. Yes. You did well. Yes, I know. I hope this program has not only given you a better understanding of how to train your dog, but also a better understanding of animals, an understanding of the way they think, of what they expect, and of how you can be a better friend to your dog. Give me 5. That's a boy. Give me a kiss. Good boy.